the data from child object to parent object, or we have also seen that how to write the query for child to parent circle, right? So if there is a direct relationship between the any two objects, so how do we get the data from parent and how do we get the data from child for both child and the parent objects, right? So we have also seen that. Apart from that, we have also seen that in query, right? Whenever we write the query, if I want to put down any filters like some conditions, right? Based on some conditions, like I want to retrieve the accounts only having rating hot. So I can also put down the conditions like that is select ID from account where rating equal to hot. So it will tell me all the records of accounts having only rating will equal to hot. So we also seen some clauses like where, order by, okay, limit, and etc, right? So these are the things we have seen so far in SOCL. So this is the basics, to the Apex coding language in Salesforce. So we have just seen. So I know I didn't send you the assessment last week. So आज के साथ में सब एक साथ में assessment भेज दूंगा, ठीक है? So today we will start slowly on the coding part, okay? But before that, आपको एक चीज मैंने नहीं दिखाई थी कल. So let's say I have logged in into my personal org, and if I want to retrieve the data in the CSV format, so लास्ट वीक में हमने क्या देखा था? लास्ट वीक में हमने देखा था कि how do we retrieve the data, right? You guys can able to hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So last week हमने देखा था कि how to get the data, how to retrieve the data from objects, right? But we have not seen that how to retrieve the data in the CSV format. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि आपको डेटा एक्सपोर्ट करना पड़ता है एंड देन यू नीड टू यूटिलाइज इट समवेयर. मान लो कि आपको वही डेटा अपडेट करना है किसी और फील्ड से, सो यू नीड टू गेट दैट डेटा इन दी CSV फॉर्मेट. हाउ डू वी गेट दैट? Just log in to your personal org, just like I have did. So you should remember this site, okay? I'm just pinging you onto the chat box. Okay, just press enter. So it will navigate me to this page. Okay, it will show you two options, that is sandbox and production. So if it is a trial org, it will be always a production. Okay, just select production, select login with Salesforce. So it will ask you to allow the workbench or with the help of your username. Just take it. You can see some tabs, right? That is info, queries, data, migration, utilities. So this is for Rajni, Dhanasri, and Suraj. If they're on the call, we have seen, right, how to insert and update offset data into Salesforce, right, earlier also.
Yes. Yes.
So this is nothing but that. But we have not used this tool. हमने कोई और tool से काम किया था. But they perform the same activities. Okay, here also. So if you go to queries, you can see this so-called query. Just click on this. Okay. So if I say select ID count, order by ASC. Okay. So it will show you the ID. I will also select name account. Okay. So you can see the ID and the name. The same thing what we were doing into the developer console, right? Over here. Let me reiterate. Lightning. So you remember this page, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we are doing the same thing over here also, but the difference is tool is different. So there are many tool that you can retrieve the data, like developer console, that what we have seen the last week. The second thing is workbench. Okay, and third thing is data loader. Data loader, it needs to be installed. into a system. These two you don't need to install. Developer Console is the by default a tool of Salesforce, and Workbench is nothing but the online tool. Okay, you can see I've just put down the website and it got open for me. So okay, but I want this result to be stored in the CSV format. So can you see some tabs: list, matrix, bulk CSV, and bulk XML? Just click on bulk CSV, okay, and click on query again. You will see there are total of 163 records. Status is completed. Just click on this download button. Okay, so result will be downloaded over here. Just click on this. You will see the names, right? The same result, that is ID and name. So in this way you can also get the results into the CSV format. Okay, so this is the basic purpose of Workbench. There are many other advantages of Workbench also. Like if you go to utilities and if you guys are working on the API integration, right? So it is very again useful for the API integration that we may see later, not right now. You can see REST Explorer, Apex Execute, password management. If you go to password management, you can also change the password of the username from the backend itself. So just go to password management again. Just put down the user query ID and password and confirm password, and just see and just say change password. So it will change the password of the user. Okay. So again, so I just want to know on the basic level, you just want to see like how do we insert the data, update, upsert with the help of CSV format. Okay. Do you know what is the difference between delete and purge? Anyone have any idea on the delete and purge? What is purge?
I think it will remove the that data from the data set for temporary, not permanent.
Temporary. So okay, no Rajni, you are just थोड़ा सा आपने उल्टा कर दिया जवाब, but no worries.
Okay.
If I say delete, if I say delete, right? So it will delete the records from the org, but it will be there on the recycle bin. But if I say purge, so it will be delete from the org as well as from the recycle bin permanently. It will not be there into the your org. So this is nothing but the purge. Okay.
Okay.
So any other important thing you can perform over Workbench, that is SQL query. What you have just seen. Okay. So this is the query what we have performed yesterday. No, that is not the one. Okay. So if you say list, it will show you the result in the list. If you say CSV, it will show the result in CSV format. Okay. So this is what I just want to let you know about the Workbench. So I will recommend, if you guys are using, if you guys are using the result into the CSV format, please use Workbench itself. Do not go for the developer console. If you want a quick results to see, you can use developer console, but I will recommend you as a best practice, always use workbench.developerforce.com. I have texted you the link over the chat box. Please save it in a notepad, okay? Without fail. You guys can understand, right? You will go to login, just go to queries and click on SQL query. So this tab will open, and here you will need to write the query. You can also select the object from here itself. Okay, so if I select like account, it will show you the fields of account. Like if I want the address field, so it will directly write down the query for you automatically. Okay, and if I select again active, again annual revenue, again attachments or any other fields, billing state, billing country, So it will keep on adding the fields with the help of comma separated. You don't need to write the query explicitly over here. Okay. So hence workbench is very useful. Just keep the habit of using workbench. Okay. If you want to retrieve any data and do the any other stuff. So here I will just close this topic. It's a very simple one again. Guys, have any questions on the workbench? Hello?
No, sir.
No, it's very simple, right? Oh, what is happening? So guys, we have seen. So guys, we have seen what is the SOQL query, right? Last week, that how to retrieve the data from standard objects and custom objects. Along with, we have also seen that how to retrieve data from child and parent if there is a direct relationship between those two objects, right? So this is the basic we have seen. SOQL query can be very complex. SOQL query can be very easy. It all depends on the requirement what we are getting from the business or clients, right? So I want to tell you afterwards, like what are the list, sets, and maps in Salesforce. This is the very basic thing in Salesforce Apex language. Again, we need to be very careful that when to use list, sets, and maps in Salesforce. So unless until you will understand the concept of these three things, you will not be able to write any single line of code in Apex in Salesforce. Okay. So I'm assuming over here about SOQL queries, you got the idea how to retrieve the data from the objects. You got the idea. If you have any questions, concerns, please let me know right away before I proceed ahead. Because from today now, with the help of list, sets, and map, we are moving slowly towards the Apex language. So any questions so far? Just let me know. I will give you the assessment after on this also. So we will see what needs to be done. No questions. Hello, able to hear me?
Yeah, not now. So both once we'll do the assessment, we'll ask.
Yes, yes, of course. Yep. Okay. So we will see what is list. A list in Salesforce is nothing but the list of items. I will say a simple list of items, right? It can be if I say the example of the employee, right? It may have employee ID, it may have employee name, it may have employee phone number and email address also, right? So list of items can contain employee 1, employee ID 1, employee ID 2, employee ID 3, and so on, employee ID 4, employee ID n. Okay. But similarly, if I say the list of employee name, right? So it may contain employee name 1, employee name 2, and so on, employee name n. Okay. And similarly, for if you want to use the list to store the phone numbers, if I want to use the list to store the email addresses, so this result will be placed instead of ID and name. You got the point? So it is nothing but the list of items. So it is nothing but the concept of Salesforce used to store the items in Salesforce. So items can be anything. It can be any field. Like if I say the example of employee, it can be used to store the ID of the employee. It can be used to store the name of the employee. It can be used to store the employee phone number, email address, and any other things. But in list, right? That employee ID can be repeated. So if I see it can be like this also. So employee ID 1 can be stored twice, so it can be duplicate. So this is the major purpose of this list. I will not say purpose, I will say the feature of list. Okay, it may contain the duplicate items in the list. So let's say रजनी का आईडी मान लो है एम्प्लॉय 1 2 3 4 5. सो वो लिस्ट में कुछ भी कंडीशन के बेसिस पे वो आईडी 2 बार आ सकती है, एम्प्लॉय आईडी 1 2 3 4 5. ओके, सो if I using list in Salesforce, please make sure it may contain the duplicate values. Here I will say values, not items. Okay, what is the syntax of the list in Apex? So of course, when we will start writing the code, guys, please don't miss any session from the next Saturday onwards. Okay, so here from here we are starting the basics of Apex. Okay, and I have many examples in my developer org, so I will be keep on giving the things to you to do it on yourself. So let me complete the concept first, and then we will start slowly on the list. I will one more add. uh, okay, you got the concept. List is nothing but the concept of Salesforce used to store the values in Salesforce. It may contain the duplicate values in Salesforce if we are using the list. Okay, so if I say यहाँ पे एम्प्लॉय डी 1 है मेरे पास लिस्ट में. ओके, एम्प्लॉय डी 2 भी है मेरे पास, 3 भी है, बट अगेन आई मे गेट एम्प्लॉय आईडी 1 ड्यू टू सम रीजन. So it is allowed over here in list. Okay, but if I say maps, if I say sets, it's the same concept of list. Okay, but in list it always contains the unique IDs into the sets. The duplicate values are not allowed when we are using the sets. So it if I'm getting employee ID 1, I will get employee ID 1 only once into that set, not twice. ठीक है, सो यूनिक आईडी हो, फिर चाहे नेम हो, एम्प्लॉय हो, कुछ भी हो, आई विल गेट ओनली unique and distinct IDs or values while using sets. So that is the main difference between the list and sets. Rest all is same. The syntax same है, सबका same है, सब same है. Now if I want to ask you one question like, hello, hello,
Yes, both we are listening.
you guys are getting me right, or any fast slow, just let me know. Okay, hello, yeah, you guys are getting me right.
Yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you one question like, if I want to store the IDs of the employee. Okay. So everyone have the ID, right? Rajni may have the employee ID 1 2 3 4 5. Subodh have the employee ID 5 6 7 8. गणेश को कोई और आईडी है और विनायक का कोई और आईडी है, right? So if I want to store the employee ID in Salesforce, so what should I use? List or sets? Hello?
Sets
Sets. Why sets?
because IDs are unique.
IDs are unique. So very good. Who was that? Ganesh or Vinayak?
Vinayak.
Vinayak. Okay. So if I want to store the employee IDs, I should go for list. I should go for sets and not the list, because IDs are the unique values. Yeah, it contains only the unique values. Okay. So next question: if I want to store the employee phone number, what should I use? List or sets? Vinayak, just stop it. I just want that other people should answer. Either Rajni, Vinayak, Rajni or Ganesh.
Sir, we will.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yeah. I'm listening. Tell me.
Uh, use lists.
We will use list, right?
Uh,
Okay. Why list?
because of multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
एक्चुअली हमें क्या करना है कि अभी कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर रिपीट हो सकता है ना?
हाँ बट ओके, सो अगेन, सो इफ आई वांट टू स्टोर द फोन नंबर ऑफ द एम्प्लॉय, राइट? एक एम्प्लॉय का फोन नंबर हमेशा यूनिक ही होगा।
हम्म
सो इफ आई वांट टू स्टोर द फोन नंबर, आपने कभी देखा होगा, आप जो स्टोर पे जाते हो, सो दे विल आस्क यू व्हाइल बिलिंग एट द काउंटर, दे विल
हम्म
नॉट आस्क योर नेम, दे विल आस्क योर फोन नंबर, बिकॉज दैट इज
ओके
ऑलवेज यूनिक। सो
हम्म
एक फोन नंबर एक ही आदमी तुम्हें मिलेगा, दो कभी नहीं मिलेंगे,
हम्म
right? So
हम्म
if I want to store the phone number, I will always use sets and not the list.
ओके
But if I want to store the employee name or
हम्म
uh, employee city, right? So I should go for list, because because एक एरिया में काफी एम्प्लॉय हो सकते हैं ना,
हम्म
पुणे में हम सब लोग रहते हैं, तो if I use list over there, it will not cause any issue while we write the code, right?
ओके
If I want to store the employee name, I can also go for the list, because एक आदमी को दो एक ही जगह पे एक एक फोन नंबर पे, मान लो कि फोन नंबर है 7058066067, बट
हम्म
एक का नाम है सुबोध पिंगले, दूसरा नाम है सुबोध श्रीवास्तव, बट आई कैन स्टिल यूज द फर्स्ट नेम into the list, because name can be repeated, right? एक कंपनी में नेम कैन बी रिपीटेड, बट एक कंपनी में इफ यू सी द एम्प्लॉय आईडी विल बी ऑलवेज यूनिक। किसी एक का एम्प्लॉयड आपने देखा है कि कभी कंपनी में रिपीट हुआ है, दूसरा का वो वही है, जो मरा है, जो विनायक का है, ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा, राइट? सो दिस थिंग आई जस्ट वी जस्ट नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई दैट इफ आई वांट टू स्टोर सम वैल्यू, तो मैं वैल्यू मुझे वो कहाँ पे स्टोर करनी चाहिए, लिस्ट पे करनी चाहिए कि सेट्स पे करनी चाहिए। ओके, सो एनी क्वेश्चंस, एनी डाउट्स हियर? हेलो?
हेलो नो सर
No.
You got the concept, right? It's very easy.
ओके
But using maps in Salesforce little complex in Salesforce. प्रैक्टिस करते-करते वो चीज़ आएगी। ओरली मैं आपको बताऊँगा जितना हो सके मुझसे उतना, बट whenever you will practice more, you will get the concept of maps in Salesforce. Okay? So we will see maps. So before going to map, I will just let you know the syntax of list and map. Okay? So let's say if I want to store, the name of the account object. So account object आपको पता है अभी अच्छे से, उसमें नेम फील्ड भी होते हैं, राइट? If I want to store the name of the account object, okay? So first of all, tell me where should I save it? List or map? List or sets? It's the name. Hello?
In lists.
In list, of course, because the name of the account can be repeated, right?
Can be
But
repeated.
still, it all depends on the project. Sometimes accounts is the very important object in Salesforce. Okay, so most of the projects have unique name into the account object. So just need to identify if आपको पता है कि नहीं, मेरे प्रोजेक्ट में अकाउंट में values are always unique, so you can store it the same in sets. Okay, but still again it all depends that where to store, either list or sets. So that's what I said, like you need to identify first that if I want to store some value in apex कोडिंग करते टाइम पे, तो मुझे वैल्यू कहाँ पे स्टोर करनी चाहिए, इधर लिस्ट और सेट। सो यहाँ पे जैसे रजनी बोला लिस्ट, सो लिस्ट इज द करेक्ट आंसर फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन, राइट? बट इफ आई ऑल्सो वांट टू स्टोर द नेम इन दिस सेट्स, आई कैन स्टोर, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली आपको नहीं पता था अब तक कि account is the very important entity in Salesforce, but I know very well it's a very important entity in Salesforce. So just to have the values on the safer side, I should go for sets also. Okay, but here we will take the example of list. Okay, because name can be duplicate, of course. So if I want to store the name of the account object, so this is what the syntax. Just pay attention, okay? Syntax. इसका सिंटेक्स बताऊंगा आपको अभी मैं सबसे पहले. So I will say list of, in bracket it will go the object name. Okay. I will give, after that I will give some list name, that is as object list name. List name can be anything, anything, okay? But always give some the proper name, so that any third person will, whenever that person will read the your code, that he or she should understand that yes, this is the list where it is being used. Okay. So list of, इस ब्रैकेट में ऑब्जेक्ट का नाम जाएगा. आफ्टरवर्ड्स जस्ट गिव स्पेस एंड गिव द ऑब्जेक्ट नेम, लिस्ट नेम सॉरी. आफ्टरवर्ड्स न्यू लिस्ट, बस यही कॉपी कर लो ऐसे, न्यू लिस्ट. So this is the syntax. You got the syntax. Just list of as object. As object can be anything: account, customer object, contact, opportunity, anything. Any object can go over here. Okay. List का नाम and that new list of this one. So this is the syntax. Okay. So here in this case, if of the account object. So what is the object over here? This is the account. So it is a syntax, of course. It is a syntax. Okay. In this case, what should I use? List of account object. I will give some name like account name list, new list account. You see, list of s object is nothing but account. Then I have given some name and then name new list of accounts. So very simple, right? So I got the list. Now how do I store the name into the list? Simply say this list name dot add bracket that name. So in coding language, how to write the, how to store the exact name of the account, we will see later. But you got the syntax. You got the syntax. So let me repeat again. I want to store the name of the account object. So you will see what field I need to store, and it is retrieving from which object. So we have two things. So this is the syntax. It will simply say list of s object. S object can be anything: account, contact, opportunity, any customer object. Just give some name of the list and simply say new list of s object. And so this is syntax. So as per the new syntax, I have written down, I have created the new list. So how to create the new list? So list of account, because object is the account over here. I have given some name, that is account name list, and I will simply say new list of account. Okay. So whatever list I am getting over here, I will simply say that list dot add, and which field I need to store, the name field. So I have stored the name field. So in this way, the fields of the object can be stored into the list or sets. Now you got the syntax.
Yes.
Yes. Any questions? Any confusions over here? No confusion? Let me give you the other example. Okay. I want to store the rating field of contact object. So the other example. So this is example one, example two. Okay. I want to store, guys. So I want to store the last name of the contact object. So my first question will be the same. Where should I save it? Either list or set. Now you should be able to answer this very quickly. I want to simply store the last name of the contact object. It will save it.
Yes.
List. ओके गणेश कहाँ पे स्टोर होना चाहिए? गणेश है क्या लाइन पे? विनायक बताओ कहाँ पे स्टोर करना चाहिए? गणेश आप if you're speaking I'm not able to hear you because
हेलो।
yeah tell me.
हाँ सर, फिर से बताएंगे।
Yeah, like what I have asked you, we have taken a second example. Like if I want to store the last name of the contact object, where should I save it?
लिस्ट में सर।
List में. Why list? Why not sets?
एक्चुअली कॉन्टैक्ट लास्ट नेम कैन बी रिपीटेड।
Repeated, exactly. It may contain the duplicate values, right? So I have to store it in the list on itself, right? Okay. So just like we have seen the example one, that how do I store the name of the account object? So just like this, I want to store the last name of the contact objects. How do I store it? So सब आपके सामने है, अभी मुझे बताइए एक एक करके.
हेलो सर,
हम्म,
एक डाउट था.
बोलिए.
अपने वो लास्ट लाइन लिखी थी अकाउंट नेम लिस्ट डॉट ऐड ब्रैकेट में नेम, तो ये नेम एक फील्ड है या फिर
It's a field. It's a field. So that's what I
उसकी
said.
वैल्यू डायरेक्ट ऐड करेंगे या फिर कैसे
नहीं नहीं,
मतलब
डायरेक्ट ऐड नहीं
ऑब्जेक्ट?
करना है वो वही. Whenever we will see that actually the coding part, so you will come to know that how do exactly we add the field into the list or sets. So this is just for the example purpose. I'm just telling you guys that if I want to store the field of any object, so what can be the syntax? This is just the syntax we are just learning over here,
ओके,
not the actual code. So don't
बिकॉज
worry.
अकाउंट में बहुत सारे फील्ड्स है ना, तो
No. But here I'm just taking example of name. So it can be anything, name, comma, rating.
यस,
It can be anything. So
ओके,
don't worry. Okay. So doubt has been cleared, right?
यस सर,
Okay.
यस.
So Ganesh or anyone, can anyone tell that how do I store the last name field of the contact object? So everything is in front of you. You can refer the example one and you can tell me.
ओके सर, लिस्ट क्रिएट करेंगे।
List create करेंगे, ठीक है?
हाँ,
List of this object.
अकाउंट कॉन्टैक्ट्स
हम्म.
कॉन्टैक्ट
उसके बाद में कुछ नाम दूंगा, राइट?
हाँ, इज इक्वल टू न्यू लिस्ट कॉन्टैक्ट कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट डॉट ऐड
Contact list dot add. Very good.
लास्ट नेम।
Last name. Okay, last name. So actually field cannot be stored directly like this. So it is just for the example, just to understand you guys that how do we store the field into the list or sets. Okay. So exactly we will see whenever we will start writing the actual code, and then we will see that how do we store the values into the Salesforce. Okay. So you got the concept, right? Next, take the third example, guys. I will say mobile number, not the. This is third example. I want to store the mobile number field of the contact object. Mobile number field, okay? So my first question will be for everyone one more time. That where should I save it? Either list or sets.
Sets.
It will be sets, right? Because phone mobile number is will be always unique to every person, right? It will not be duplicate. So let me tell you one thing. Just like Rajni said, right? We want to store the mobile number field in contact object. Okay, and we can store the same into the list. We need to store the mobile number field into the sets, but still I can I can still store the mobile number field in list as well. मैं लिस्ट में भी इसको स्टोर कर सकता हूँ, but it may create the issue later on whenever we will write the code and by mistaken if I store the mobile number field onto the list. So कभी न कभी कोई ऐसी conditions आएगी तुम्हारे कोड में जिसके बेसिस पे whenever it will try to fetch the duplicate mobile number that your code will get failed, that you will not come to know initially. आपको अभी वो समझ में आएगा नहीं, but whenever you will face the error messages in the future, आपको तब समझ में आएगा कि अरे नहीं, that was the issue. We may have stored the value in the sets and not the list. Hence, to know the concept is very important. Okay, so I want to store the mobile number field of the contact object. So I need to use the sets, but we have not seen the syntax of sets, right? So let me tell you the syntax. It is same as that of the list. Okay, just see, just say set of mobile number. So whenever I was using list, so it was containing the object name. Okay, but mobile number field, right? So tell me one thing. So this is again a very little complex. Okay, just pay attention. So list is clear, right? Any questions on list, just let me know right away. कुछ क्वेश्चन
No.
लिस्ट में नहीं है, इट्स वेरी इजी, राइट? विनायक, गणेश, सूरज, रजनी, धनश्री,
No.
नो, ओके, यहाँ पे सेट्स पे. Tell me one thing, you have created many objects, right? Earlier also, whenever we have seen the config part, you might have created some custom object and you might have created the custom fields, right? So if I want to create the mobile number field, what data type you will use? String, phone number, name, what was that? Vinayak?
phone number.
Phone number, okay. But phone number, I mean, okay, phone number, okay. I'm asking about the data type. I mean, whether it will be string or the phone number, or string or number field,
Number fields.
number field, right?
Yes.
So see, if I use the number field, it will only allow numbers. It will not allow the characters, right? But if I use the string, it will allow both string as well as phone number. You know the difference, right? Let's take the example. Sometimes we have phone numbers like 7058066067. Sometimes we may have the numbers like +91 hyphen 7058, okay, 066067. Sometimes we may have +91 7058 066067. So you need to 066. Oh, sorry, 705 So you need to consider all the permutation combinations. That where should I save it? Which type of string, which type of data type I should save the mobile number. So now I will store the phone number in the string. Okay. So what I will do, I will use this set of string. Okay. So string is nothing but the data type. Data type about field to store. तो यहाँ पे सिंटेक्स लिखता हूँ सबसे पहले आपके लिए मैं. दैट सेट ऑफ, यहाँ पे मुझे जो फील्ड स्टोर करनी है वो मेरी जो फील्ड है वो किस में जाएगी. आई मीन, कैन इट बी अ नंबर, कैन इट बी अ स्ट्रिंग वैल्यू, और व्हाट इट कैन बी, डेट वैल्यू, डेट टाइम वैल्यू, व्हाट वाज दैट. सो ये कुछ क्वेश्चंस आपको सबसे पहले खुद को पूछना है, राइट? सो इफ आई simply I will just put down the data type about the field to store. I will simply say like I will simply say set name. I just need to give set name. Okay, new set. Syntax is same, just like this set. So this is the syntax for the sets. I will simply say set name, जो भी set name मुझे मिला है, dot add, okay, and I will simply say the mobile number field. So in this way, contact actually yes, yeah, contact the mobile number. Okay, similarly it will also go for the account number. ठीक है, कंफ्यूजन मत होइए प्लीज, मैंने सिर्फ वहाँ पे अकाउंट का नाम समझने के लिए डाला और कुछ नहीं. Okay, so I know it's little complex. Let me give the other example. Like if I want to store, I want to store the ID of the account. So of course it will always go for the sets and not the list. Blindly कभी भी list पे मत जाना. IDs are always unique. Okay, and it is not the best practice that you know very well that IDs are unique and still you guys are using the list. So it's not the best practice. It will always call it as a worst practice in Salesforce. Okay, so I will simply say syntax इसका क्या रहेगा? I will simply create this set of what ID, because I want to store the ID field of the object, right? ID I will say like account IDs equal to new offset same ID. Okay, I got the sets of name, simply says IDs dot add and ID. That's it, a simple ID. You got the concept now? What is the sets? Hello? Or little confusing? Just let me know. I will repeat it. No problem. Hello?
Yes, sir. ID is a object of data type.
Uh,
Bracket.
data type नहीं बोल सकते इसको. Actually, this is not the data type, right? That just like the number and a string is a data type. So ID data type तो नहीं है, but accounts IDs. I mean objects के जो IDs होते हैं. Just let me tell you. बार आता है. गणेश ज्वाइन नहीं किए क्या रजनी? रजनी
Yes, I'm here.
तनुश्री ज्वाइन नहीं किए क्या?
नहीं सर, मैंने उनको मैसेज डाला था कि आज क्लास है क्या, तो उनका रिप्लाई नहीं आया, तो मैंने भी ज्वाइन नहीं किया था.
मैंने ग्रुप पे मैसेज डाला था कि 12 बजे के बजे वी विल मीट एट 12:15.
जो रेगुलर लिंक है मैं उसमें ही लॉग इन था, तो ये नई वाली.
एग्जैक्टली ये यूआरएल दिया अर्नब सर ने दिया एक्चुअली, तो वो मुझे पूछना है अर्नब सर को. अर्नब सर यू देयर? अर्नब सर इज ऑन वेब शॉप अकाउंट. So guys, see, if I go to this account that is Age Communications, right? You will see the ID over here. So if I want to store this ID, so if I'm saying over here, I want to store the ID field of the account. So it is nothing but the record ID. Okay. So record ID means this one. So it will be always get stored in the ID data type. Okay. So hence I have put down like it will be the set of IDs. I have given the name of the sets and set of ID, a new set of ID, and then that name dot add. मुझे क्या store करना है? Always it will go for the field. So I want to store the field. So it's nothing but the field in Salesforce which will store this ID. Okay. So don't worry, whenever we will write the actual code, we will come to know that how it works. Okay. So this is the syntax of list and sets. Any questions on this one? Or should I give more examples on the same? Hello? जब तक guys बोलोगे नहीं मुझे पता चलेगा नहीं कि that you guys are understanding or having any questions.
सर एग्जांपल चाहिए.
Example चाहिए? ठीक है.
Yes.
So you guys are clear on list?
Yes.
लिस्ट पे एग्जाम्पल चाहिए कि सिर्फ सेट्स पे चाहिए कि दोनों पे चाहिए?
सॉरी सर, सेट्स पे चाहिए एग्जाम।
सेट्स पे चाहिए, ठीक है। एक काम करते हैं, वी हैव सीन द स्टैंडर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट्स एग्जांपल, नाउ वी विल सी सम कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट एग्जांपल, ठीक है। लेट मी फाइंड आउट एनी कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट ओवर हियर. So again, guys, please try to understand. This is nothing but the orally we are just learning the concept of list and sets and maps. Okay, so don't worry about it. Just try to understand the concept, the basic concept. So whenever we will write the code, you will come to know slowly that how to use list, how to store the values into the list, how to get the list from the code and something else. So don't worry about it. Okay, just try to know the concept, what is list, what is syntax, and how can we store the values inside the list. That's it. So let me give you this example. एक object था मेरे पास custom. Expense इसमें है क्या? ठीक है. So guys, I have one custom object. I was just working on some other POC, so I have created this object, that is expense object. Okay, and I have fields like amount, country ID, description, and name, जो भी है. Okay, example again. I want to store amount field object. I want to store the amount field of the expense object. So I'm opening the expense object in front of you. This is the expense object, and these are the fields. So I want to store this field. आपके सामने नाम भी है, आपके सामने डेटा टाइप भी है, सब है आपके सामने. अभी मुझे बताइए कि मुझे कहाँ पे स्टोर करना चाहिए, लिस्ट और सेट्स में, क्विकली. हेलो हेलो, एबल टू हियर मी?
Yes.
विनायक, गणेश, रजनी, सूरज, बताइए. आई वांट टू स्टोर द अमाउंट फील्ड ऑफ द एक्सपेंस ऑब्जेक्ट, इधर इन लिस्ट और सेट्स. मुझे कहाँ पे स्टोर करना चाहिए?
Lists.
लिस्ट में करना चाहिए, ठीक है. सो टेल मी द सिंटैक्स नाउ. आई विल से लिस्ट ऑफ
Expense.
expense. So I will directly use the expense keyword now over here.
API name should
All,
be
yes, very good. So I will set the API name of the object. Please remember one thing, always use the API name of the object and field everywhere. Do not use the label, always API name. Okay, so API name will go here. I will give some name, new list, and same as it is. Okay, I will simply, then what after that, I have created the list now. I want to store the amount field. Then what should I need? Then what should I do? I will simply say the list name dot add. मुझे इस लिस्ट में ऐड करना है, right? I want to store the amount field on this list. So this list contain those amount fields. So expense list dot add, मुझे वहां पे बस amount की field डालनी है. So this is the amount field now. Amount field ये रही. तो मैं डायरेक्टली ये डाल दूं फिर amount.
फील्ड नेम
I should
API.
always use the API name, right? That is field name. So in this way, I can store the amount field of the expense object. So we have also seen the example of the custom object, the how to store the values into the this one. Okay. So here we have seen the example of how to store the amount field on of expense object with the help of list. Forget about the list for now. I want to store the amount field, so I am asking you the question directly. आपको directly question पूछ रहा हूँ सबको. I want to store the amount field over the sets. मुझे set में वैल्यू स्टोर करनी है. तो मुझे बताइए कि सेट्स कैसे बनेगा, किसका बनेगा, आईडी का बनेगा, नंबर का बनेगा, डेट का बनेगा, डेट टाइम का बनेगा, कि स्ट्रिंग का बनेगा, किसका बनेगा. अमाउंट. अमाउंट फील्ड आपके सामने मैं जब बोलता हूँ कि अमाउंट, राइट, आपके सामने सबसे पहले क्या आता है? आपके सामने आते हैं डिजिट्स, राइट. 50,000, 1 लाख, 2 लाख, 3 लाख, 5 लाख, राइट. सो अगर आपको स्टोर करना है, सो लॉजिकली इफ यू थिंक आई वांट टू स्टोर द अमाउंट फील्ड, मुझे जो 5 लाख, 10 लाख, 2 लाख मुझे स्टोर करने हैं, आप कौन से इसमें स्टोर करोगे उसको? कौन से डेटा सेट में आप उसको स्टोर करोगे? आईडी में स्टोर करोगे, डेटा टाइप स्ट्रिंग में करोगे, नंबर फील्ड में करोगे, डेट में करोगे, डेट टाइम में करोगे, किस में करोगे आप स्टोर?
Number.
नंबर फील्ड में करोगे, राइट.
Yes.
सो आई विल सिंपली सिलेक्ट सेट्स ऑफ so in coding language nothing is called as number, it is called as what? Decimal. Okay, because the amount can be like this one, 50 point, this one point. Okay, hence always use the decimal word. Okay, so even though it is not containing this one, it will only accept this thing also in decimal. So if I again go back, so I will create the set of decimal. I will give some name like something, and amount set. Again new, oh, sorry, new, new set of decimal. So here I have created a set for the amount field. Okay, I will simply use that name डॉट ऐड. मुझे अमाउंट फील्ड कहाँ पे स्टोर करनी है? मुझे अमाउंट फील्ड स्टोर करनी है सेट में जो अभी मैंने क्रिएट किया यहाँ पे. ओके, I will simply select the amount field. So I will simply select the API name of the amount field. कोडिंग केस में कैसे लिखता है? Again we will see later. So this is just for the concept purpose. Okay, so now you got the concept amount field, or you need some more examples? Okay, let me give you the more examples. Okay, text. So you can see, right? Hello, you can
Yes.
see like
Yes, sir.
whenever I have created amount field, the data type is text, so I can also create under the list. But if you see the country ID, what I have created, it contains number field, so it can go for the number field itself, because country code, right? So country code क्या होता है? Either it is a zip code kind of thing, that is a 411016. It always contains the number, it doesn't contain any text field. वहाँ पे हाइफन होता नहीं है, वहाँ पे डैश होता नहीं है, वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं होता है, राइट. So just like this, if I want to store the date field, okay, next example. मुझे ये डेट फील्ड स्टोर करनी है, ठीक है. सो आपको बताया कि डेट फील्ड कैनॉट बी स्ट्रिंग, राइट. डेट फील्ड कैनॉट बी नंबर, डेट फील्ड इट्स नॉट द आईडी, ठीक है. डेट फील्ड मुझे मैं स्टोर में कर सकता हूँ क्या? राइट. सो जस्ट गो टू द ऑब्जेक्ट, गो टू द फील्ड्स. इसका डेटा टाइप क्या है भाई? टेक्स्ट है, नंबर है, डेट है, क्या है? सो डेट से ही पता चलता है. सो इन सेट वी कैन डायरेक्टली store, we can directly create this set of date. So what I will do over here, I will create this set of date. Okay, I will simply select, I will simply give some name, that is the date sets. न्यू सेट, यहाँ पे क्या आएगा, डेट। तो मैंने सेट बनाया डेट का, क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे डेट फील्ड स्टोर करनी है, इसलिए I will simply select date sets that name dot add, तो यहाँ पे जो डेट फील्ड है वो, राइट, I will simply select the date field over here. ओके, करेक्ट नहीं है? हेलो,
Yes.
करेक्ट है? I have
Date
put down the
underscore
I have put down the field label name over that, over there.
underscore C.
Or underscore save.
ये चाहिए, राइट, मुझे ये करना चाहिए। This is, so now you got the concept that what is sets, what is list. So again, just try to know the concept. Whenever we will see that how to write the code, you will definitely will come to know that under what I should store, under what I should not store the values. Okay. Yeah, most important. Again, next example. Okay. I want to store the employee field of the expense object. Okay. So if I go, अभी इसका जवाब को मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, ठीक है? मुझे किसी एक से जवाब चाहिए, वो भी परफेक्ट जवाब चाहिए। If I go to expense object, if I go to fields, here I can see there is one lookup of employee. Okay. सबसे पहला सवाल मुझे सबसे ये है, if I want to store, let me go to the expense object. यहाँ पे मिलेगा क्या? expense, right? All. Detail page. Just hold on, मैं बताता हूँ आपको। ठीक है। I want to store the account field for the contact object. So you know now very well what is account, what is contact, right? What is parent field and what is the child object over here? अकाउंट कॉन्टैक्ट में पेरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट कौन सा है, चाइल्ड ऑब्जेक्ट कौन सा है, बताइए?
अकाउंट है
अकाउंट इज द पेरेंट, राइट, एंड कॉन्टैक्ट इज चाइल्ड. ओके. Cognizant is the account which may have many childs, many employees. Dhiraj, Rajni, Suraj, Vinayak. Sorry. So contact is the child of the account. So now I want to store, if I go to contact object, right? So if I go to contact, okay. If I go to contact, if I go to fields, here I will see the account name, which is lookup to account. लुकअप टू अकाउंट मतलब अकाउंट इज द पेरेंट, इसलिए यहाँ पे लुकअप टू अकाउंट हमने सिलेक्ट किया था, राइट, जो भी सेल्सफोर्स ने किया है. सो आई वांट टू स्टोर दिस फील्ड फॉर द कॉन्टैक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. सो वेयर डू आई सेव इट? लिस्ट और सेट्स? हेलो,
लिस्ट में सर.
लिस्ट में स्टोर होगा. ओके, व्हाई नॉट इन सेट्स? हेलो,
For multiple contact, sir, मल्टीपल मतलब एक अकाउंट यूज हो सकता है ना, मतलब एक अकाउंट के
एग्जैक्टली वही
मल्टीपल
मैं
कॉन्टैक्ट्स
बोलूँगी।
है। हाँ हाँ
एग्जैक्टली सो अकाउंट आईडी तो एक ही रहेगा ना।
हाँ
जैसे कि वी हैव मेनी एम्प्लॉइज, सूरज, धीरज, रजनी, विनायक, गणेश, राइट? We have many contacts, but account is only one, that is cognizant. Example. So if I go to account contact object, right, just to identify, just to verify, just go to contact object, open this contact, any one of the contact you have in Salesforce, go to detail page to do. So if you go to detail page, you will see account name, right, which is lookup to account. If you click on this, it will open this record. But do you know, whenever there is a lookup of any object, what it will store? ID. You need to pass the record ID and not the name whenever there is a lookup field. So now you got the concept, right? If there is a lookup, it will store the record ID of the parent object. So it will store it. It contains actually this name, this field, that is record ID. It will show you the name over there, that is age, over the contact detail page. But it actually stores the record ID from the backend. So now I need to ask you one question again. So if I want to store the record ID, what should we use? List or sets?
Set.
It will always sets, right? So again, I will just select set. Tell me, set of what? Set of IDs. I will
IDs.
simply select name, that is, account IDs. New set ID, this one. I will simply select this name dot add,
ID. Add ID.
and under what? Field name of the account.
Contact.
Contact.
नहीं सर.
Contact is the object. I want to store the field. So no problem. Just go to contact object and select wherever the account name is. What is the field name?
Account.
Account ID. Just store the account ID. And here you go. You have stored the account IDs for all the contacts in just one set. So that set contains the account IDs. मान लो विनय का अकाउंट आईडी रहेगा कॉग्निजेंट, मेरा रहेगा कैपजिमिनी, धनुषी का रहेगा डिलॉइट, एग्जाम्पल. सो दीज अकाउंट आईडीज विल गेट स्टोर automatically in a dynamic way in this set. Now you got the concept. I'm sure not exactly आपको 100% नहीं समझाऊंगा, but you got the concept. What is list? What is sets at least? We also seen some real time examples, right?
Yes.
Okay. So last question on this part. Again, if I go to expense, it's a custom object, right? If I go to field, I want to store the employee of the expense object. Next example, store field of object. I want to store the employee field of the expense object. So आपको पता है कि आपको कौन सी फील्ड स्टोर करनी है, आपको ये भी पता है कि आपको ऑब्जेक्ट का कौन सा ये करना है. What I will do, I will simply go to expense object first. उसके मैं फील्ड से जाऊंगा and then I will see एम्प्लॉय फील्ड कहाँ पे है. ये एम्प्लॉय फील्ड है, उसका डेटा टाइप क्या है, लुकअप फील्ड है उसका, राइट? सो जस्ट नाउ आई हैव गिवन द एग्जांपल ऑफ द लुकअप फील्ड. नाउ टेल मी वन थिंग. Obviously it's a lookup, so it will contain the record ID of that parent object, right? So I should save it in this set. So now tell me, how should I save, how should I create this set, and how do I store the values over the sets? Anyone? इतने एग्जाम्पल देखे अभी हमने, मुझे बताइए. अभी मुझे एम्प्लॉय फील्ड स्टोर करनी है एक्सपेंस ऑब्जेक्ट की. अभी मुझे बताइए कि क्या करना चाहिए. डेटा स्ट्रक्चर आपके सामने, ये देखो. बताइए अभी, कोई भी एक, विनायक, गणेश, रजनी, सूरज, कोई भी बताइए.
सर
हेलो,
लिस्ट में स्टोर करेंगे ना?
लिस्ट में जैसे अभी हमने एग्जांपल देखा, राइट?
लिस्ट में स्टोर करेंगे।
नहीं, लिस्ट में नहीं करेंगे हम, ये सेट्स में करेंगे ना। कौन है? गणेश और अभिनय।
डुप्लीकेट।
गणेश, okay. So just like we have seen the example of account and a contact, right? So for contact we have the lookup of account. So account is a parent object, but whenever we are using the lookup, right, so it contains the record id of that parent object. आपको वहां पे वो नाम दिखाता है, but it always stores the record id, this id, in the backend. And whenever I am saying that it contains the record id, we should always go for the sets, we should not go for the list, because it's a record id and it's always unique, it is not duplicate. आपको ये जो आईडी दिखता है ना, वो हमेशा यूनिक ही होता है, वो कभी डुप्लीकेट होता नहीं है। हेंस वी शुड ऑलवेज गो फॉर दी ये। आपका कंफ्यूजन कहाँ पे हो रहा है? आपका हो रहा है कंफ्यूजन नाम में। आपको हो रहा है एम्प्लॉय नेम, अकाउंट नेम, जो अभी हमने देखा ना यहाँ पे कॉन्टैक्ट पे। सो इट इज जस्ट डिस्प्लेइंग द नेम, बट it is storing the record id from the url in the backend, hence it is always unique. So same example, it is lookup of the employee object. Okay, so it will contain the record id of the employee, and hence it is not using the name of the employee, it will be storing the id of the employee. So if I'm using the id of the employee, that we should always go for the sets. Okay, Ganesh, clear? No? Hello,
यस सर,
clear or not clear? Just
यस सर, यस सर।
तो अभी मुझे बताइए कि अभी मुझे सेट क्रिएट करना है, ये फील्ड स्टोर करने के लिए मैं क्या करूंगा?
सेट
सेट
आईडी
आईडी any
एम्प्लॉय
name, right? We will say employee id is equal to
न्यू सेट आईडी एम्प्लॉय आईडी डॉट ऐड
dot add.
एम्प्लॉय
So I need to use the field name, right? API name. So in this way we should use list and sets. So in the next session we will see how to use maps in Salesforce, which is very complex. Okay, but I will give some assessment for the last week and this week also. So please do it till the time till Saturday, and let me know if all good. Okay. So any questions till now? So in nutshell, what we have seen how to write the simple query. We have seen the clauses we can use in query language, that is where, order by, limit, and AC, DSC, where clause. Okay, etc. We have seen how to get the data of parent from child, how to get the data from child to parent. Okay, we also seen that kind of queries as well. Today what we have seen how to use the workbench in Salesforce, how to get the data, how to store the data in CSV format. All right, we have seen what is the list and sets in Salesforce. We have seen the syntax, we have seen some values, some examples on the basis of some standard objects and the custom objects as well. Okay, next session we will see how to use maps in Salesforce and what are the events in Apex Trigger in Salesforce. Okay, so whenever we will finish the maps in Salesforce, we will start writing the code slowly with the help of Apex Trigger. Okay, so basics are you should be able to write the queries, whether it's a simple one, it's a complex one. You should be able to understand what is list, what is sets, and what is maps, when to use list, when to use sets, when to use maps in Salesforce. Okay, we also seen many examples, real-time examples in Salesforce. Okay, so don't worry, I will give some blog, some links, just go through it, you will come to know that part one more time. Okay, next session whenever we will finish the maps, we will start the events in, we will start with the Apex Trigger, how to write Apex Trigger. how to develop the logic, how to build the logic into the Salesforce. We will see from next session onwards. So anyone have any questions, any doubts, let me know. I know exam से समझ में आएगा नहीं किसी को भी, but we will see slowly, so don't worry. Okay.
Yes.
Anab, I think you can pause the recording, right? I don't know whether you're there. I cannot pause from mine, right? Anab?
Yes, yes, I'm there. Sorry, I was not able to speak.
Yeah, you can pause the recording. We are done this today's session, Anab.
Okay.
So I have not provided the assessment for the last week. So I will provide the assessment for the last week and